You're listening to Black Cat Football and Greer Time Media. Let's take it to the booth with your host, Freddie Greer Sr.
Jeremy Sunday, Wallace High here for the national anthem before the football game. As we get welcome to bring you some Black Cat football tonight, it's Jeremy Sunday and Wallace High here in Fairfield Eagle Stadium. Start this week in district, Wallace. We got a lot different weather.
Yeah, you know, we're used to coming out here, getting these games kicked off with a setting sun and about 90-degree weather. And tonight we come out and, you know, us around these parts, we like to call this real football weather. You know, it's a cool, chilly, windy Friday night. And
as Mexia is going to be receiving this kickoff, Fairfield won the toss and deferred to the second half, so Fairfield will be kicking off from right to left. As we get ready to start here, Wallace, I think it's pretty important for the Blackcats to get off to the fast start that they've gotten off to in the last, well, pretty much the whole first half of this season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key for the Blackcats tonight. You know, coming out fast, setting the tone, especially getting the ball first. You know, you're going to have to let your offense get out and hope your offense can move down the field and get some points on the board first. We know that Fairfield's going to come out. So far this season, they've had a high-octane, high-scoring offense, and that's going to test our defense. So you want to be able to complement what your defense is going to have to do by putting up points of your own on offense.
Number 20, Tyler Haynes from Fairfield will be kicking off as both sides. Both sides are jacked up to ready to start this, and it's going to be returned by Trey Jones up the middle. One or two people's touching him. He's going to be tackled about the 33-yard line. Good starting field position.
Yeah, and that was a great return by Trey Jones. He found a seam, and he just put his head down and kept going straight up the field and returned it out for about a 30-yard return, and where the Blackcats will take over for their first offensive possession.
Looks like Mexia is going to come out with the same starting offense as the last 5 ball games, as we have Proctor in the backfield with Wiley. We have Hullum, Harrison, and J.R. Deichler's actually in there tonight with Trey Holdman, Harrison going up top. Got a little different look here tonight to start out.
Yeah, we got a traditional tight end set.
Proctor takes a snap, hands off to Cooper, and Cooper is going to run up for about 4 yards here. 5 yards.
About 5 yards. Just a little power run off the left side of the line, and Cooper was able to put his head down and get some positive yards.
I've heard nothing but about how big the offensive line is for Fairfield, but Wallace, their defensive line is not very big.
Yeah, right now the Mexia offensive line is a lot bigger than the defensive line, but usually when you get that, you get some quick players. Hand off again to Cooper.
He's going to go around the left end. And he's going to make that corner, and he's going to pick up the first down, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's going to be enough for a Mexia first down.
And Cooper had a defender on him when he took the handoff in the backfield, and he just stiff-armed him and kept going around that left edge and picked up about 7 yards on that run.
This is a totally different situation than what we've been looking at all year. Most of the start out the game, we've had Wiley playing in the backfield. Tonight we have Cooper back there. Now we have Proctor split back with Wiley on the right and Cooper on the left. So, and we have Holdman in motion here. This snap back to Proctor, and it's going to be a handoff to White. No, he's going to keep it, and he's going to run around the right end.
Oh, he's getting strung out.
And he's just not fast enough to make it around that right end on that certain play.
You know, and it looked like they had that one sniffed out, Jeremy. It seems like there's about 4 Fairfield defenders that stayed out on the edge and just strung it out to the sideline.
It looked like they slanted to the left on that.
Yeah.
So, to me, if he would have went ahead and handed it to Wiley had wide open field on that left side right there.
That's one of those defenses where they guessed right that time and slanted to the right side where he pulled the ball.
Well, Mejia's going to come back in their 2 tight end set here. Proctor in the back, split backs. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Wiley, and he gets about 6 yards. It's going to bring up a third and about 6, maybe a long 7. So Mexia has it on their own 47-yard line. Cooper hasn't run the ball much for Mexia this year, but he come out running hard on this first series.
Right, and we know that he's capable of running because he's played in the backfield the last few years. And it's a handoff up the middle to Wiley. There's a flag
on the play. When that flag goes down right there, it's usually going to be.
We'll see who the penalty's on. Sure,
it's going to be a chop block.
It's a chop block against Mexia, and that's a big one.
That's a 15-yard.
That's a 15-yard penalty, and it'll bring up third down.
I'm really
about
surprised
20.
with us not getting more than a couple of yards that they're even going to accept that, because that could be 4th down and punting right there, and Fairfield getting it back. Now you're going to give Mexia another chance to somehow maybe come up with a big play here.
Right. All you can think is maybe the Fairfield coaches are thinking they're playing field position in this case, but it does give Mexia a second, or it gives them a chance at actually 2 more downs to pick up 20 yards instead of it being 4th and about 4.
Well, Mexia lines up with 3 wide receivers this time, 1 man in the backfield. That's Wiley with Proctor. It's going to be a straight drop back, and they're going to throw it up around the sideline, and it's Holding with the catch.
It's knocked out
of his hands at the last minute. He had come down with it, had his feet in bounds, and as he was going out of bounds, they knocked it out of his hands.
Right. That was a great play design, and that was a great pass from Jaden Proctor to Holman. It's just that the defensive back was able to get his hand in while Holman was trying to get his feet down. Those are plays that you
have to make when you're on the road, though, early in games. You have to pull those in and find ways to make those plays, because that was a heck of a throw by Proctor there. Yeah. Into the wind.
Looks like we'll have Banks lined up to punt the ball off. And he gets it off. It's a low line drive kick.
And it's going to roll. It's going to take a Black Cat roll.
It's going to be downed at the 28-yard line.
Well, that was a good punt. That was a good turn of field position for the Black Cats.
Yeah, and, with not being able to get down the field and score on this drive, now your defense is going to have to come out and hold the Eagles from making any progress and getting any points on the board here. You don't want to get behind early when you're on the road.
And there's this big offensive line that Fairfield's talked about, and they do have some size to them.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, though, they love to run, and from what we've watched, the Black Cats love to play teams that like to run. You want to run, that's what we want you to do.
Yeah, and going into the game, we've heard about Fairfield's offense and the speed they had in their backfield with the quarterback and the running back. But, I think that plays to Mejia's defensive strengths.
Hand off to Fiver around the end. He cuts it up the middle, and he's going to pick up enough for the first down. I think Ever Black Cat's on that tackle there, but it will be a first down for the Fairfield Eagles. Nice little 8-9 yard pickup for them right there. That was number 5 for Fairfield. Now we're going to have a drop back, and he's just going to try to.
He throws it at the last second and throws it out of bounds.
The quarterback for, as we're trying to get the lineups here. Justin Abrams, the quarterback for Fairfield, and his running mate in the backfield with him is Jamichael Hudson. Because now we're back in the old-fashioned wing tee. It's a handoff to Hudson. He's going to be a gain for a tackle of about 6 yards there. That'll bring up a third and about 4.
And it looks like Fairfield is going to stay in, hurry up, and stay in tight and try to run the ball straight at Mexia. They hand it off again, and
he ain't going nowhere that time.
He's snowed under, and big Dawson Scott, Eric Medlock, and the rest of that
Cooper's
defensive line and linebackers drug him down. It brings up 4th and about 3.
It looks like Fairfield's going to go for it here.
Yeah, they're going to line up quick. The Cats get down it. And it looks like he's going to throw the ball deep. Oh, and he overthrows his receiver.
And no flag or anything. So that is a difference from what we've heard so far. They like to run it down your throat, and they come out trying to pass the ball a little bit.
You know, and just from a little bit of what I've heard is they try to run it, and every now, just looking at their stats, it doesn't look like they're throwing the ball more than maybe 6 to 8 times a game. And here we've already seen two passes on the first drive for Fairfield. So maybe it's a little scheme thing, knowing that these teams are going to know they're going to run, so they try to open it up and throw it down the field. But the Blackcats stepped up to the task that time and were able to get the.
Mexia's back on offense. He's going to hand off to Wiley. He's going to go for about 3 tough yards, as Wiley always does.
Yeah, and bringing the offense back out, that's exactly what we said the Blackcats needed to do on that drive, was get the Fairfield offense off the field without putting any points on the board, and they were able to hold them and get a turnover on downs, and the Blackcats are taking over again, moving the ball.
So the Blackcats come to the line. Snap back is going to hand to Wiley around the right end, and Fairfield's right there to corral him in. So we have some extracurricular activity on the field.
Yeah, it's going to bring up 3rd and about 7 here.
The one thing I've noticed is we've run everything to the right here the last 5 or 6 plays, and when we were gaining our yardage, we were running off the left side with Cooper. As the Blackcats look over and get the play.
I think they're trying to figure out the schemes of each team right now, and we'll get more of the traditional offense we've seen from the Blackcats this year. The snap back, and Proctor's searching and passing. He fades back. And it's incomplete. You know, and he was just trying to make a play and get it to a receiver.
We got a flag right here. It looks like we're going to have Mexia block it in the back at the end of a play once again.
He's calling a chop block against Mexia.
As Proctor rolled out to the right, one of his offensive linemen come back and hit one of their guys in the back low where Proctor was throwing the ball.
Now clipping 59 of the offense. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Mexia will be punting right here from the Eagle 47. That's the kind of flags that we have to stay out of, even though they didn't accept it. At the end of the play, we can't be getting late flags.
Right, and you know, and you have to be smart with all the rule changes and things. You have to know what you can and can't do in those situations. And you just have to know when he gets out of that pocket, you can't go down low on a defender that's chasing him.
Yes. That the going down low on plays is completely almost over with. There's not too many instances where you can hit somebody low anymore.
And Banks gets a good punt off, and it takes him a hair bounce. It's going to roll inside the 10 down to about the 8-yard line. So Fairfield will take over for their second possession at their own 8-yard line. And right now we're going to see who can get something going the quickest on offense, because Mexia's had 2 possessions and they've ended in 2 punts, and Fairfield's first possession ended on a turnover on downs, and the Eagles are taking the field again. The Blackcat D is out waiting for them. The snap's down on the ground, and he's tackled at the 1-yard line. You know, and he barely got out of the end zone on that. It was a bad snap from the beginning. The quarterback tried to make a play, and the Blackcat defense was able to get back there quick and just corral the quarterback and bring him down at the 1. It'll bring up 2nd and about 15.
The Blackcats get ready to line up on defense. Just going to be a handoff up the middle, and they're going to stack him up about the 6-yard line, get him back to about the original line of scrimmage.
Looks like it. He got up to about the 7 on that one. Jeremy bring up 3rd and 11. And he drops back, he rolls out the pass, and he lets the ball go. And there's and the Fairfield receiver makes the catch. You know, there's a Mexia defender there, and he just fell down right as the ball was coming in, and it allowed the receiver to just go up and catch the ball. Handoff up the middle, and it's stacked up again by the Mexia defensive front.
So now bring down a 2nd and about 8.
You know, plays like that, those are the ones we want to be able to get. You want and there's a handoff again to Hudson, and he's stacked, and it's no gain. You know, you want your defenders to be able to stay on their feet and make those plays. That ball just hung in the air. It looked like it was thrown up for grabs by anybody. Unfortunately, the cornerback fell and the receiver made the play. But Mexia's in the 3rd down and about 8 on right here, and we see Fairfield
straight back, and he's going to be ready.
He's grabbed and he's taken down. You know, and on that play was number 30 Jawan Wright and number 44 Dawson Scott, both coming in off of those ends, and they were able to get to the quarterback and get their arms around him and get him down before he could make a play. Looks like Fairfield's going to bring out the punter. That looks like number 20, and Mexia has number 7 Trey Holman back. Snaps back. Mexia brings pressure. He gets it off. Holman catches it and on the return.
And they get him on a shoestring tackle about the 35-yard line.
It's about a 7 or 8 yard return before he was grabbed. But like we say all the time, seems like Holman's about a shoestring tackle away from breaking a big one just about every time he touches the ball. And as we wait for the teams to come out, the Fairfield defense is on the field waiting for the Mexia offense. You know, you got to think that they've seen the film of Mexia running those quick plays out there, because the defense came right over to the Mexia sideline where the huddle was.
As Mexia goes back into the 2 tight end set, man on each side, it's going to be a handoff to Wiley up the middle. Gain of about a yard.
You know, it's tough running right now. We're trying to get our offense going, and we're running the ball. It's about a 2-yard gain, but
we have spread the ball out all year long and run it really well. Why are we putting everybody in tight and running now? I'm not understanding. I mean, that just brings more people into your box. Wiley breaks it around the right end, and he's going to pick up about 7.
Yeah, it looked like he lost his balance coming around. He was leaning hard to get around that edge and couldn't stay up, because he had gotten around, and if he could have gotten himself back up in balance, he had a lot of green grass out in front of him. It'll bring up 3rd and about 2 for the Blackcats at the Mexia 44-yard line. And Proctor keeps it, and he breaks into the open field.
He's down
the
sideline.
They push him out at about the 25-yard line. Looks like they're going to mark him out at the 27, 28-yard line. But Proctor put the ball in Wiley's stomach, and then he pulled it out, and he just gashed the middle of the defense. And it was a foot race until they were able to get him out of bounds. We line up with a single back, Wiley in the backfield, Proctor under center. He comes out and hand off to Wiley. Wiley hits it, and he picks up about 4 yards on that run. Brings the ball down to about the 23-yard line, where Mexia has 2nd and about 6. Proctor keeps again, and he's up the middle, and he picks up about another 4 or 5 yards. It's going to make it a 3rd and we'll say a short 2 or long 1 on this. Looks to be about 3rd and 1. The ball's going to be spotted at the Eagle 18-yard line. Mexia takes a snap. Proctor keeps it again, and he just powers himself down, and that's going to be enough for him. Mexia first down as he moves the chains down, and the ball will be set down at the Eagle 14-yard line. You know, Mexia, they're staying in this double tight set right now, Jeremy, and on this drive they're moving the ball down the field. And we talked about it earlier. The defensive line for Fairfield isn't all that big, and right now it looks like the Mexia offensive line is just controlling it and pushing them back and letting the ball carriers run forward.
So Mexia comes to the line with 1st and 10 with 2 tight ends set. Snap back to Proctor. And it's going to be intercepted. You know, as Proctor's the last man for him to beat. He misses. Fairfield's going to intercept this and run it all the way back for a touchdown.
You know, and
why are we throwing the ball right here when we run it all the way down the field on?
At times, I think you overthink the play, and you feel like that they're setting up for the run, but you've been successful running the ball, and then you try to pull it and you throw it down there, and it was just a miss. The pass was behind the receiver,
there was no wide receiver
and
even
the
around
the
him
cornerback stepped in, and it looked more like the cornerback was in the right spot and not the receiver, and he caught it in his belly and just ran. There was no one there to stop him.
Unbelievable.
Fairfield for the extra point, and the kick is good. You know, and those are the type of turnovers and mistakes you don't want to happen, because you allowed them to put points on the board without their offense having to do anything, and it took a chance of you putting points on the board off the field. So I'm not sure what the thinking was on that one of going for that pass on that play when you've been successful that whole drive, just lining up and playing smash mouth ball and moving it. But we'll see if the Cats make whatever adjustments they need and fix that problem and get back to it, because they'll get a chance to go back on offense after this. They'll receive this kickoff.
That was a nice play by number 26 for Fairfield. He didn't realize the ball was even coming his way at all.
Yeah, I think it stunned him when it hit him in the stomach, and he just wrapped his arms around it and started running, and it's like the whole side of the field had been vacated, and he just ran, looked like he was running a 100-meter dash straight up the field.
Sunday's going to catch this ball at the 21 and run across the middle of the field. He's up the middle.
Oh, and he breaks
loose, and there's a flag thrown out on the field.
I don't know where that flag came from, because there was
near that flag.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this referee saw, because there was man on man and guys diving out at the ball carrier, and he just ran through them all.
Every flag we've had thrown tonight's been thrown by one official. There was nobody near that flag.
You had a block in the back penalty, but I'm not sure how you block in the back when you're one of the deep men running up into the pile.
That just really. Well, the Blackcats come back out. We're 2 tight ends set, 1 man to the top and 1 man to the bottom, with Proctor and Wiley in the backfield as they still discuss the play here. Mexia's catching some bad breaks here. Snap back to Proctor. He hands it to, no, this is Jones in there now, and he's going to be stopped for no gain. I'm still confused where our spread offense has gone. We have run the ball really well with the spread offense this year.
Looks like we may be going back to the spread here. We brought in Banks. Looks like he'll go out at receiver. Wiley's back in the backfield. We have Harrison as the up back, and Clark and Holman both in.
Snap back to Proctor, and he's going to hand off to Wiley on the left side. He breaks 1 tackle, and he's going to be corralled about the 20.
It's going to bring up 3rd and about 6. You know, and you want to see the offense get to going and rolling and get some points on the board here, as they, as the Eagles were able to take the lead on that interception return for a touchdown.
30 seconds left here in the first quarter as Mejia's looking over to get their play.
There's 13 on the play clock, so they will take a snap before the end of the quarter.
As we're back, it's a handoff to Wiley, and he's going to come around the left end, and they're just right there every play. Every time we've run that play the first quarter, they've been right there to get us on that left side. And that's going to be the end of the first quarter.
Now, it looks like – did someone call – it looks like maybe Fairfield called a timeout.
For Mejia to punt into the wind.
Yeah, they'll make Mejia punt into the wind. And that's strategic coaching right there on Fairfield's part. Mejia could have let the clock run out and turned around and flipped it and punted with the wind at their back. But Fairfield's going to make them punt into the wind, which with the way the flags are blowing and the breeze we're feeling, it can definitely affect that football's flight when it gets up in the air. And we're sitting as both teams are over on their sidelines for the timeout. Jeremy, just looking at the first quarter, it's been pretty much a defensive battle so far.
Yes, on both sides, it's played really good defense. The only score we had was a defensive score. Fairfield caught the ball and run about 84 yards for a touchdown. But it's been a very well-played ball game by both teams.
Yes, it has. You like to see them flying around the way they've been. Banks is set back for the punt. He gets it away, and a nice punt up in the – and they're going to let it – and it takes a Fairfield bounce, and it's down at the 49-yard line.
And that will end the first quarter.
So Fairfield will take over in the second quarter from their own 49. And as we switch quarters and switch ends of the field, we're going to send you to a commercial break.
Let you hear who our sponsors are for the evening.
Listening to Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Park, Greer and Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays.
All right, and we're back here at Eagle Field, and it'll be Fairfield taking over on offense from their 49-yard line.
This first drive of the second quarter is going to be just a quarterback run. Mejia's going to have them all jumbled up for about a 1-yard gain there for Fairfield.
Yeah, looks like they're going to mark it at the Mejia 49 now, so looks like they'll give him 2 yards on that. Some Fairfield lines back up quick. They're staying in, and they give it to number 1 coming around the edge. And
there's just no room. I mean, there's a host of Blackcats there.
And speed, you get that little jet sweep action going, and the speed from the defense is running right with them. And looks like Fairfield's trying to spread it out a little more. They're going. The quarterback look like they're setting up with quarterback power. And they're just going to try to run the quarterback
and
around.
There's no room there. He stopped up.
And Mejia's there.
See how much they mark him down.
Looks like he'll be short of the first down stick, but it'll bring up 4th and about 1. And Fairfield will stay there to go for it. Blackcats are down. Looks like they're trying to give a hard count. The quarterback gets the signal from the sideline, and he gets back in.
It's going to be a snap back. He's going to be stopped in the backfield.
Yeah. And
it's going to be a stop by the defense.
And Dalton Scott played right through the defensive gap and got to the quarterback before he could get to the line of scrimmage, and then the rest of the Cats got there to clean him up.
Mejia has got a couple of guys on that defensive front that if they don't want to be blocked, they're not going to be blocked.
Right, and we've talked about it the last few games of how well they've picked up their intensity and played and dominated and controlled games. And so far, they've done the same thing they've done every week before now.
Mejia looks like they're coming back out in their 2 tight end set. Have Banks down here to the bottom and Clark to the top. as they spread out here. Hand off to Wiley up the middle, and he's going to be there for about 4 yards.
He scooped, and it looked like he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, and he lowered his body, and he looked like he almost army crawled through the line for about 4 yards.
It's going to be fun watching him for the next couple of years.
Yeah. We talk about it every week. He runs the ball hard, and when those other running backs are in, they're running hard. And anytime, any place he can catch a seam, and once he gets in the open field, it's hard to catch him.
Yes, for sure.
The Blackcats come back up to the line. We'll have Wiley and Proctor in the backfield.
We got Holdman and it's going to be a fake, and then Proctor runs up the middle. He's looking for a hole. He's trying.
He spins
he's
out.
To pick up a first down.
And his line
is.
And he's still moving and churning.
It's going to be a first down on the 30. No, the 44-yard line.
Yeah, and he's in the Eagle territory on that run. And that time, Proctor pulled it and found a hole and went running. And when it looked like he was going to get hit by a defender, he spun off of him, and his big lineman got behind him, and they pushed him on ahead for about 3 more yards to pick up that first down.
We have Harrison out here, and we have Deichler in as well as blocking tight end here.
We have Holman down at the bottom out wide and Clark up at the top out wide.
And then we have Deichler on the right side, and we have Harrison on the left side as tight ends as we're running too tight here. Snap back to Proctor. He's going to hand off to
Wiley.
He keeps it, and he's up the middle.
He tripped. He lost his footing because I think the way he left that ball in the gut of Wiley until the last second. And Proctor found a seam, but he couldn't get his footing right and slipped and fell because if he would have stayed up, it would have been a foot race to see if anybody could get to him before he got to the end zone.
I believe he would have broke that one for all, that right there, Wallace. Mexia has actually moved a little bit better than Fairfield tonight.
Right.
Let's see if we can't keep the ball and go down and put some points on the scoreboard to show for it. It's going to be
Wiley, and he cuts.
And he's going to pick up about 7 yards.
And that'll be a first down for Mexia. And like you said, Mejia's been able to move the ball. With the exception of the one turnover and mistake that Mejia's made, they've looked a lot more fluid and consistent in their offense than Fairfield really has tonight.
Yes, the Blackcats are in their solid white uniforms with the white helmets with Blackcats. 1989 state championship team that we had talked about the last time we were on. And this ball's handed off to Wiley up the middle.
Oh, no, Proctor keeps it. Oh, and he finds a seam.
He finds a seam, and he breaks up the middle. Let's see if they're going to catch him about the 9-yard line.
And Wiley, Proctor is so shifty, and you have to respect Wiley's ability to run. So as they take that away, Proctor's making some good reads and pulling it out. And he's just an athlete once he has the ball in the open field.
And now it's going to bring up a 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. What a run by Proctor.
And I like the all whites, Jeremy. We were just talking about the uniform. They come out, New Day, they call that the Stormtrooper look. And it looks good out on the field for the Blackcats tonight. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Wiley.
Breaks loose, and he's going to go in for the touchdown. As the Blackcats score a touchdown, now the game's within 1 point of being tied again. We're going to run our swinging
We'll
gate.
come out in a variation of it today with 2 over to the right, little swinging gate to the left, and now we'll go into our field goal formation.
Send out and tie this ball game up. I think this is a smart play early in the game.
Yeah, it is. Fairfield lined up to match it.
As we got some miscommunication from the Blackcats.
We got one running on the field late, and
we got 6 seconds left. The snaps
back,
down,
kicks up, and
we have a tie ball game. As Mexia has tied the ball game against Fairfield here at Eagle Stadium.
And Mexia looked good on that drive, Jeremy. They were able to kind of get in their flow and move the ball. And like we said in the last drive before the turnover, the offensive line looks like they're just getting out and they're manhandling the defensive line so far these last couple drives. And if the Blackcats can keep that up and control the line of scrimmage throughout the night, that's going to be very beneficial for the Blackcats going forward.
We talk about turnovers all the time. A turnover on downs is just as good as a turnover sometimes.
Right, and that's what we've seen so far, that Fairfield's going for it on 4th down, and the Blackcat defense is holding them, and then they're getting the ball and being able to move it. And capped off that drive with a great run by Wiley after the spectacular run by Proctor. And we got a tie ball game as Mahale looked to tee it off and kick to Fairfield. It's 7-7. Mahale and Fairfield tied with 7:52 left in the second quarter.
As the Blackcats line up, they're kicking the ball from right to left. The wind blows the ball off the tee.
We talked about the wind being a factor, and the way it's coming in from the north tonight, and this stadium is built north to south, so the wind comes in from the open area and blows across, and we saw it just blow the ball off the tee. Mahale's going to set up, and we'll get a nice kick from number 42 to about the 30-yard line.
He runs backwards, and he runs up the middle of the field. Let's see if we can't get somebody to tackle him.
And he's brought down about the 46-yard line.
It's going to be good starting field position for the Eagles, but this is where they were on their last drive,
right.
Starting right here.
You know, and we kind of expect that with Mahale. They do that high, pooch kick, so it doesn't go very deep, and you usually start somewhere around this area each time. Now you're going to see if the Mahale defense can buckle back down and get another stop like they did on the last couple drives.
Mahale can stop here and get a stopping. And with the momentum that they have going, I think right now Mahale's offensive line might be starting to wear down on Fairfield.
Right, and that size can do it.
Well, now we have one man in the backfield. That's the quarterback for Fairfield.
He drops back to pass.
He's going to
throw.
The
ball's floated in the air.
Interception.
It is.
Oh, no. Interception.
And the defender was there, and he went up to catch it, and the receiver just became a defensive back and knocked the ball away and ran through the legs of the defender as he was in the air.
Wallace,
and the ball fell to the
ground.
ground.
When you play ball and you watch film enough, you can look out there and sometimes you can just see the Red Sea part. That one right there, I can just see interception road all over it.
Right.
It's going to be snapped back to the quarterback. Once again, he's going to run up, but he's not. Dawson Scott.
Dawson Scott. He works off that block and just grabs the quarterback and swallows him up.
Back to that last play, I'm just sitting here watching that ball, and I just see interception all over it.
It's interception, and then you have to remember those guys play defense for a reason. Like the old adage goes.
The reason you ain't a wide receiver is because you can't catch the ball.
But that was a great play by the defense. It'll bring up 3rd and about 8 for the Eagles.
We're going to
hand off to number 5, and he's strung out. And Mahale pushes him out back and out of bounds. It's going to bring up 4th and about 2 to 3. Ball's going to be spotted on the Mahale 47-yard line.
I'm a guy that likes to go for it a lot.
Yeah.
But when I just seen my team get run all over,
right,
I sure wouldn't want to turn the ball over here.
And you've been stopped 3 times now on 4th down by the Blackcats. I don't know if you want to try it here and give them the ball at midfield. Looks like
Mahia's watching for the fake.
Yeah, Fairfield's going to line up for the punt. And it's a block.
It's a block.
We have
blocked that ball.
And I'm not sure why.
Why are we touching that? Those kind of plays, Asking Cowboys can turn disastrous on Thanksgiving Day.
I'm really not sure what happened on that play. We blocked it, and then we had a lineman run down and pick the ball up, and then they blew it dead. I'm not
I guess they considered nobody was going to do anything with it forward momentum of the ball had stopped.
I'm not really sure. I don't know if maybe the referees I'm not sure if the referees were maybe confused and thought that we were downing the ball and not Fairfield, but that live ball.
Yes, he could have picked it up and rumbled the whole way.
Yeah.
As the Blackcats come out with twins to the top, we're going to have 2 backfield. That's going to be Jones and Wiley.
Now we get some shifting and people in motion. And
now we got the Kellen Moore show going on out here for the Blackcats.
We completely flipped the formation.
It's going to be snapped back to Proctor. He hands off to Wiley around this left end, and he's just bottled up about the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, this may be half a yard gain on that play. It'll be 2nd and about 10 again from the 30-yard line. You want the Blackcats to keep driving the ball like they did the last drive and see if they can keep going. I'm not sure.
The Blackcats are not in any hurry right here with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half to really have to be in a hurry.
Right, and the way they run and move the ball, you want to just keep that going and eating up that clock. And Proctor keeps it. And he makes a move around the edge, and he gets –
It's going to be tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Bring up 3rd and 10 again. And it looks like – I'm not sure if that was a delayed draw for the quarterback, but he held the ball, and the defender came off the edge, and he made a move to get away from him but couldn't escape the second defender. Bring up third and about 9 for the Blackcats.
We sure need a first down here.
Yeah, you want to get a first down and keep the ball moving. Let your defense get a break and also give yourself a chance at another set of downs.
We got time running down here. Looks like we're going to have a Blackcat timeout.
Yeah. And we do. The Blackcats call a timeout, and as they call a timeout, we're going to
go into timeout. As we'll bring you our sponsors for the game.
You're listening to Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Part, Greer and Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays.
As we come back to Blackcat Field, Mejia's got a 3rd and 9. We got twins to the top, one to the bottom. Proctor in the backfield with Wiley. Snap back, straight drop. He's going to throw it down the middle, down the sideline to Holman. He catches it, and he's going to be out about the 32-yard line.
You know, and we were just talking about that while we were on our break, Jeremy, of how we'd like to see him take a shot down the field because Fairfield had sucked most of his defenders up to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. And with the speed Mexia has, they can take a couple shots down, and they did on that play. And Trey Holman caught a pretty pass from Jaden Proctor and for a big gain. It'll bring up first down from the Fairfield 28-yard line.
Snap back to Proctor, and he's going to hand it off to Wiley as he
stiff
arms somebody.
He gets around, he dives, you know, and we talking about the way he runs, and he lays it all out.
He is physical. That is one thing you can say about Wiley.
He you know, and he's a well put together young man. He's got a lot of strength. He stiff armed that first defender, and when the second defender tried to go for his legs, he just dove out for about 3 yards.
Mexia comes back to the line of scrimmage. They have one man up top, one man down low. We got 2 tights in. Deichler and Harrison are back in together. Snap back to Proctor. He's going to hand off to – no, he keeps it up the middle himself, and he's going to gain about 3 yards.
4 yards, yeah. You know, it'll bring up 3rd and about 4 right now.
I tell you what this reminds me of. It reminds me of Cameron Yo, what Cameron Yo did to Mexia that night. Yeah. It was 3 yards here, 3 yards there. Maybe we get a 4 yard. Let's get 3 yards.
With the exception of that long pass to Trey Holman, that's all Mejia's done. You know, 3 or 4 yards and move the chains. You know, 5 or 6 yards and move the chains until they worked it down the field. And this is the 3rd time they've been down right at the red zone of Fairfield. So the ball will be on the 21-yard line. And Mexia will take it with 3rd and about 3.
Proctor's in the backfield with 2 tights again. He's going to hand off to Wiley up the middle, and he's
going
to break one up the middle for a touchdown.
He's in for a touchdown.
Touchdown, Blackcats, and that'll make it 13-7, pending the extra point.
You know, and why we talk about it so much in the way Wiley runs, and he touches the ball, and he's real patient when he's behind his blockers. But when he sees the hole, he explodes through the line, and that's all he did.
We're going to go for 2 here off the swinging gate.
High snap. Proctor rolls around, and he comes back and
his blockers
pushing.
They're going to give it to him. Yes, we go for 2 and get it. That puts Mexia up 15-7.
You know, and you want to attribute that to Wiley and the blockers again, because Proctor made a great play spinning out and getting to the line, and then as it looked like he was stopped, it looked like Wiley and maybe Prince Banks, a couple of those other skill players, flew in from behind and hit him, and there was a big surge that pushed Proctor on into the end zone.
I can tell you one thing that's happened. It has gotten awful quiet over there on Fairfield sideline. Their boys are not hot. They're not jumping around, and Mejia's all excited on this side.
You know, and right now it looks like Mejia has all the momentum. You know, those white uniforms are bouncing. The ones on the sideline are jumping up, and they're slapping each other on the head. The coaches are bouncing around and congratulating the players. And like you said, Fairfield's just – it looks like they're hanging their heads a little bit. And
if we hadn't mentioned it, Fairfield is ranked number 9 in state now.
Right. You know, and we know it's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's a rivalry game between the two, and each year it's a good hard-fought contest as Mejia sets up to kick off to the Eagles.
So Blackcats kicking off from right to left, and
it's
a pretty.
Kick. Oh, and the ball's on the ground.
And Mejia picks it up. Oh my gosh, have the tables turned.
Yeah, and like I said, all the momentum right now is on the Mejia sideline. It was a high bell ringer kick that we've grown accustomed to seeing Mejia kick, and the return man wasn't able to corral it, and it hit off of him, and then he was tackled. And the ball squirted around and rolled around for a little while. It looked like 3 or 4 other people picked it up.
There was no doubt he heard footsteps.
and finally you seen one of the Blackcats, I'm not even sure who it was, that fell on top of it.
It looked like it was number 32, Deichler, or number 30. It was a 30 number that picked it up.
It was probably either J.R. Deichler or
timeout Fairfield.
Jawan Wright.
I imagine their coach wants to call timeout and just clear their kids' heads.
Right.
I mean, guys,
you got to get them.
You
got to get them settled down. They just gave up a touchdown. Come out and have a muff kick return, and Mejia takes over again.
Fairfield's not used to being behind either. They have pretty much played from ahead all year long.
Right, and you know, they played and. They played some good teams, and they played some good games. But one thing, talking to some of the Fairfield fans over the week, was they were concerned about the Mejia speed and on defense, because they weren't sure that they had seen that type of defensive speed all year, which right now the defense is playing great and the offense is kind of controlling the ball. And when you have an offense like Fairfield has that likes to score points and score quick and really control the ball themselves, if you can keep the offense on the sideline, you really control the game.
Well, looky here.
And that's what Mejia's done the first half.
We got an old Blackcat. Deuce Wright just walked up underneath us. As we take it back to the field, Proctor takes a snap and hands off to Jones.
Proctor keeps it around the left end.
And he lowers his shoulder and gives a heck of a hit there.
You know, and you like the physicality from Proctor, but with him being the Mejia quarterback, you don't want to see him drop that right shoulder and go into anybody.
Deuce.
And Mejia will take the line again. It'll be Proctor and Jones 6 in the backfield.
Snap back. He's going to hand to Jones, and he goes out around the right end.
Oh, and Jones stays on his feet.
And he stays on his feet to about
the 24-yard line of the Eagles. And that'll be enough for a Mejia first down. You know, and Trey Jones, he's another one of those youngsters that we talk about that when he gets his chance to get in the backfield, he runs the ball hard. And he pulled away from a tackle and made a cut and got upfield and get that first down on that play. The
Blackcats are just taking their time once again as they want to run this clock out.
Right.
There's no sense in giving it back to Fairfield.
You know, with 2 minutes and 50 seconds and running, you want to just kind of let the clock run and move down and try to get more points before the half.
Snap back to Proctor. It's going to be
hand off to Jones, and he jumped. He stays on his feet.
Gain of about 2 yards.
Yeah, he jumped over an initial defender on the ground and was able to keep his balance and lean forward for a 2-yard gain.
As Wiley comes back in for him, he comes up with a little bit of a limp. They were holding on for dear life because there was a hole there. If he could have just got past that one defender, he'd have broke it himself.
And that's all that defender could do, and I think he knew it because once he went over him, he just grabbed that foot and would not let go.
As we're down to 2 minutes left in the first half, Mejia's still at 2 tights and one on each side, wide receivers. We got a little pistol formation, a handoff to Wiley up the middle. He's going to be brought down about the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he was met at the line of scrimmage on that play, and they were able to get to his legs and get him out from under him. And that's about your best option when you have Wiley out there running the ball.
Bring up third and 9 here for the Blackcats.
personnel change with Prince Banks coming in at wide receiver, J.R. Deichler coming off of the field.
The one thing it looked like we have here is they have pretty much put everybody in the box for Fairfield. So you have your wide receivers out here have one-on-one coverage, and there is not too many people in the state that's going to stay with Banks or Clark out there on the outside one-on-one. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, and you have Holman right there in the slot. Oh, and Holman's
is.
wide open.
Oh, overthrown. Holman was wide open in the
He was
end
wide
zone.
open, and I think Holman thought he was going to throw it more to him, and Proctor led him, and Holman checked down on it and wasn't able to get to the ball. But it was a pretty route. It was a pretty ball. It was just miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver.
Mahia's going to line up for a field goal here. As Martinez is out, taking his steps, Holman's in to take the snap.
Snaps back, ball's down, kicks up. Oh, it's short.
It's going to be short.
So Mahale turned the ball over to Fairfield with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. The ball will be spotted. Looks like it'll be spotted on the Fairfield 23-yard line. So now you're gonna see Mahale's defense is gonna have to bow up and stop the Fairfield offense before half. With 1 minute and 3 seconds left.
And you know Fairfield's going to come out trying to score here. So
right.
A turnover right here for the Blackcats on a deep pass or something would be awesome.
Right, and Fairfield only has one timeout. So with them being a running team, you got to expect they're going to try to throw the ball a little bit on this possession.
Oh,
and there it is, and he throws it away out of bounds. As he was chased down by Dalton Scott and Dravion Cooper and looks like Connor McNeil all chasing behind the quarterback on that play.
The one thing that Mexia has constantly had tonight is pressure on the quarterback.
Right. You know, and when the quarterback's the dynamic player for their team, that's what you have to have. As Fairfield looks to take the snap on this one, they do. It's a handoff, and he's brought down.
Now Mexia gets to call timeout.
Right.
And use the clock to their advantage.
And that was big Eric Medlock, who was able to get in the backfield and drag the ball carrier down on that one. You know, and Mexia,
as we have a legend coming up here to see us.
I think Mahia's gonna use their timeouts right here.
Play for the Blackcats.
Mahia's gonna use their timeout right here to stop the clock and hopefully get a chance to get the ball back before half.
We have Shannon Wright up here with us. He's a coach down south now, right? Klein Forest, he's up here. He's a big OU fan. What's OU going to do tomorrow? Boomer Sooner. Yeah, it's good to see you in town tonight.
Oh, man, I got to come out here and support the Cats and my two boys, man.
Y'all have a bye week this week in your town?
Actually, we had a loss last night.
Oh.
We played last night. We lost to the district leader right now, Klein Oak. But bounce back to it again next week.
Well, it's good to see you, brother. Shannon Wright played with us in 1996.
And he's here supporting his two sons who are out on the field. Fairfield takes the snap.
And it's going to be a handoff. And he's going to be tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Again, and he's drugged back.
And
Mahia's used another timeout. It'll bring up 4th and about 9.
As Mahia's going to make Fairfield punt into the wind now.
And now Fairfield will have to punt into the wind to Mexia with 43 seconds left. So Mexia used their timeouts to stop the clock so that they can get the ball back. And after the punt, you'll expect, depending on the return, Mexia should have a chance to get a pretty, maybe 2 or 3 plays off before the half.
With the way that they've just been inches away from some couple of long throws, there's no doubt that we can't hit big plays on them. And Holdman, as far as a returner, is shoestring tackles away from breaking one. This would be a perfect time for him to break one and take it to the house for the Blackcats.
And Trey Holman drops back to return the punt. Fairfield sets up in punt formation. Looks like the Blackcats may try to get a little pressure on the kicker. We've seen them be just inches away from getting the hand on it, and that's another Not so great punt, and it's
It's
touched
already
at the
touched.
50-yard line.
It was touched at the 49-yard line. Let's see where they're going
Oh,
to mark
no.
it at. Whoa.
No, the ball was touched. The ball was touched way up at the 50-yard line. They're going to mark it at about the 44.
Well, they always say those zebras, they need some eyeglasses, and I would agree with that at that moment because there was clearly that guy reached out and changed the momentum of that ball.
The ball hit and bounced right up into him, and he just slapped the ball on forward. And they gave him the benefit of the doubt, I guess, and they marked it where the ball actually stopped rolling, not where he touched it.
Mejia's going to come out with two tights as they are out of timeouts. They have a man on up top and a man down low, and
Holman goes in motion.
They're going to let him set up on the right side. Snap back. Man
You
going
have
down the middle of the field. Holman's broken loose, and he's come back.
Oh, and Proctor throws it away. It's not a bad. That's a good decision by Proctor. Get it away, live to run another down, and not take a loss on that play.
The thing about it is all game long, you've been able to break them behind them because they think you're going to run it. They think you're going to run it. Well, now they expect you to throw it, so they have the defense alert on for the backside. So,
and you know that on that play, it looked like he was looking for Evan Harrison pushing the seam. And
they took
away the deep ball, but he broke back. And I think if he would have stuck with him a little bit longer, he would have been able to hit him on the comeback.
As we get him play from the sideline, snap back to Proctor, hand off to Wiley up the middle, and he's going to break loose. One.
He has a first down. He's down by contact.
Down. So in high school football, as they move the chains, we're going to have time stopped.
And Wiley's limping to the sideline.
See, but that's going to be a 10-second runoff because it was an offensive player.
But the clock was not running at the time because they were moving the chains. So I think Mejia benefit from the first down and the clock stopping to move the chains. So
looks like he was hit in the lower midsection there, helmet to helmet. It's a 10-second. It's going to be a 10-second runoff because it was an offensive player that got hurt.
Right, but
that's what the referee was just telling the coach.
Right, but it shouldn't have been because he picked up a first down, and in high school football, the clock stops on a first down.
In college, it
does
too. However, underneath 2 minutes, if an offensive player gets hurt, it's an automatic 10-second runoff.
It's only that if the clock is running on that play. The first down stops the clock, so it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have mattered for the clock to keep running or to get the 10-second runoff because the first down stops the clock. So at the end of that play, the clock stops. It's whatever the clock's doing at the end of the play prior to the injury.
As the Blackcats come back to the line.
And we'll set it with 17 seconds on the clock. Snap back to Proctor. He'll get a pass out to Trey Holman.
And he breaks it.
Yeah. He breaks away from the defender, but he smartly goes out of bounds to stop the clock with 9 seconds left. The ball will be spotted about the
32-yard line.
They're spotted at the 33-yard line. It'll give 9 seconds. I think we have enough time to take a shot at the end zone or at least get it up closer for a field goal attempt.
As the wind picks up here.
Oh, and you got
a face mask. How do you not pick that face mask up? That's going to be the end of the first half.
The Mejia sidelines asking for the penalty call, and the umpire just runs away from the sideline without throwing a flag. You know, on that play, it was Proctor tried to escape, and the defender jumped over his back and grabbed a hold to his face mask and rode him down, but the penalty wasn't thrown, and Coach Sandoval is down there giving the umpire a earful.
But you cannot miss those kind of calls due to just safety reasons.
Exactly. You know, you try to protect the players at all costs, and to not call a play like that, I mean, the face mask is in there for a reason. You don't want to see a player get hurt because of being face masked and drugged down by their helmet or their face mask. And
well, that's the end of the first half, and Mejia is leading the number 9 state-ranked Fairfield Eagles 15-7 here at Eagle Field. Looks like Mexia Blackcat Fighting Band's going to be out on the field. We're going to give you a break here for a minute, and we'll come back with some scores and the highlights from the first half.
Today's game brought to you by Eagle Auto Parts, located on Main Street. For more information, visit eagleauto.com.
You're listening to Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Part, Greer and Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays. listening to Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Part, Greer and Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays.
As we come back to Blackcat Field, I got some statistics from the first half. First, I'm going to read off the Cats. Proctor's got 8 rushes for 76 yards. Cooper has 2 for 11. Wiley has 4. Oh, I didn't know. Wiley has 14 for 83. And Trey Jones has 2 for 9. Holdman has 2 receptions for 52 yards. And Proctor has 2 completions for 52. Mexia had 12 first downs in the first half, 2 penalties for 25 yards, and 3 punts for 112. Fairfield stats. The quarterback, number 8, negative 12 yards on 6 rushes. Number 5, their running back, has 20 yards on 4 carries. Running back number 4 had 2 carries for 8 yards. And their wide receiver, number 3, had a quick rush for 3 yards. They had 1 pass completion and 5 attempts for 34 yards. They had 1 punt for 35 yards, and they had a total of 3 first downs the whole first half. So as you can tell off the stats, Mejia's pretty much dominated this first half. Fairfield scored on a long interception return for a touchdown for about 84 yards. And other than that, Mejia's defense has pretty much shut down the Fairfield Eagles here in the first half. As we went over the stats here, we're going to go over some scores in the area. Wallace, we were just talking about how much Mexia had dominated the first half of the game. Fairfield had just a total of 34 yards for the first half.
Yeah, and it started out and it would seem like it's going to be a really defensive game. And then Mexia was able to sustain a couple drives up and down the field. And that they really racked up some yards. About the last three possessions Mexia had, they racked up some yards being able to move it up and down the field. And the defense was able to continue to kind of stymie Fairfield, with the exception of that one long pass play. Fairfield really hasn't had any big plays tonight. Just looking at the stats we were just given here for the first half, looks like Jaden Proctor has 8 rushes for 76 yards. Dravion Cooper had 2 rushes for 11 yards. Jarrell Wiley had 14 rushes for 83 yards. And Trey Jones had 2 rushes for 9 yards. Receiving stats were Trey Holman with 2 receptions for 52 yards. And we had 6 pass attempts, 2 completions, 1 interception. Mexia was able to get 12 first downs in the first half, and they had 2 penalties for 25 yards and 3 punts for a total of 112 yards. Fairfield looks like the quarterback, number 8, had 6 rushes for negative 12 yards. Hudson, number 5, had 4 rushes for 20 yards. Number 16 had 2 rushes for 8 yards, and number 1 had 3 rushes for 3 yards. They had 5 passing attempts, 1 completion for 34 yards, 1 punt for 35 yards, and 3 first downs in the first half. And just looking at that, we've heard all week of how good the quarterback from Fairfield runs the ball and how he really pushes that offense. But the first half, Mexia was able to hold him to negative 12 yards. And that's taking away a big piece of Fairfield's offense.
That's another thing that people don't understand when it comes to high school football is these two programs have been rivals for a long time. I mean, we've been in the same district as long as I can remember. I remember back in the 80s of watching Mexia play Fairfield every year.
Right.
But the thing is the Mexia boys have been pounded. Oh, they run the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. So Mexia's been pounded all week long. They're going to run over you. They're going to run over you. And Mexia so far in 2 quarters has come out and showed that, hey, we're here to play too.
Right, and I like to say it, and I actually was just talking to some other guys from Mexia, and talking about this matchup. It used to not be considered a rivalry, but then, athletically it became a rivalry because, like you said, we've played each other so much. We've been in the same district for so long that everyone got to know each other. You play each other so much that it becomes a rivalry, and right now, they're the closest team to us in our district, so that kind of took over as our district rivalry. And when Mexia and Fairfield come together, you can throw away rankings.
Yes.
Rankings don't mean anything. You're going to come out and you're going to get 2 ball clubs playing their hardest to win a game for the bragging rights. It doesn't matter if one team is number 1 in the state and the other team is number 100. You're going to get the A game from both teams that night. So, and that's what we've seen so far.
Well, as we sit here and watch the band for the Fairfield Eagles perform on the field, we're going to bring y'all some scores from around the area. Some of them are surprising, and some of them are sad for some of us around here. Sorry, Freddie. Stephenville's leading China Spring 14-0 in the second quarter. Brownwood's beating Gatesville 35-0 in the third quarter. Maypearl is getting beat by Whitney 20-3. The Tig High School Lions are leading the Grosback Goats 42-6 at halftime.
And we know that's hard for Freddie to hear because
I just want y'all to know before we said that score, Freddie took off running out of the stands. He didn't even want to hear that. So,
and
Freddie, you can come on back up here, buddy. We're through talking about the Goats.
We're hard on Freddie, but he does so much for us. But he still has those Grosback ties, and they're not having as much success as Freddie would want them to.
Lorena is leading Robinson at halftime 14-7. Of course, here at Eagle Stadium, it's Fairfield 7, Mexia 15. Crockett's leading 41-0 at halftime. Franklin's leading Westwood 28-7. As this is the first or second week for most teams to start district, so a lot of these scores are your district openers or the second game of their district season. McGregor's leading West 21-18. Refugio's leading Crawford 54-0 in the second quarter. Hubbard and Dawson are tied at 22. Wortham's leading Frost 22-0 at halftime. Mart's leading Meridian 40-0 at halftime. Penelope is a winner over Copperell due to forfeit. Oakwood, number 9 in the state, leading Coolidge at halftime 22-20. And Milford is leading Calvert 14-6. And that was the last score we got in the first quarter. Those are some of your area scores brought to you by Freddie Greer Time Media. And our sponsors this evening, we hadn't mentioned much because we got on the air late and we've just been talking about the football game, and it's been an awesome football game. But we have Joe Fridays is a sponsor, Napa's a sponsor, Greer Detail, Woodman Life with Jeremy Sunday. And who are we missing, Freddie? We have Joe's, Greer Time Media, Joe Fridays, Napa, and Greer Media Time, and Mexia Sports Network.
And we like to give as much credit and gratitude to our sponsors as we can, because they make it possible for us to come out and broadcast on the Mexia Sports Network.
And as we got a new sponsor coming on this week is the Mexia Troops Boy Scout team. They're coming on to look at being a sponsor. And for you out there that'd like to sponsor this is able for us to bring you the Black Cat football games on Friday nights. We'll be bringing you basketball games live Monday or Tuesday and Friday during basketball season, and for baseball season as well. So if any of you would like to sponsor out there, it's $150 for the whole year to receive all 3 sports. If you'd like to sponsor, just reach out to Freddie, Jeremy, or Wallace, and we'll make sure that happens for you, and we can announce your family or your business as a sponsor for the Blackcat games.
Yeah, and like Jeremy said, that sponsorship goes throughout the entire school and athletic year. It won't be just for the one season. It'll cover all of the sports that we're going to broadcast throughout this entire sports year. You know, Jeremy, listening to some of those scores you were talking about, I hear the Coolidge game and then the Oakwood game and all those six-man. And, you know, right now I think it was the Calvert game and Milford, you said, was 14-6. And I laugh because that's the first quarter. You know, we may tune back in the third quarter, and it's like 78-60 something. The way those six-man games go.
Andrew, my son, played six-man football over in Mount Com, and luckily that year, the 3 years he was there, the junior high struggled, but the varsity had a really good team, and it was so much fun watching them. Sometimes we would be finished at halftime. So you go to a game and you're there for an hour and a half and you're cleaning the concession stand up and you're heading to the house.
Right. You know, and
it's 8:30 and you're sitting on the front porch listening to Blackcat football playing over in Fairfield. I mean, I would always try to tune in to 99.1. Mount Com was right on the verge. If the wind was blowing right, I could pick them up.
You know, and it's funny you say that because even, you know, back when I was in school, I had friends that played over at Coolidge. And we'd always, you know, we never really got to see them play because we were all playing on the same night. But they had a lot of times where their game would be over at halftime, and we'd look up in the stands in the fourth quarter of our game, and they'd be there, you know, watching us play. And I always thought that was funny. And then you look at the score, and it'd be like a 60-14 game, you know, at halftime.
Well, they have what you call a 45-point mercy rule. So once they're up and either to halftime or past halftime, and then one team goes up 45 points, they automatically call the game.
Right. You know, and so I always like looking at the six-man scores because they look more like basketball scores than football scores.
And, you know, I'm going to tell you, I last year for the first time went up to Cowboy Stadium and watched the Milford play in the state championship game. And like I said, I started watching six-man 4 years ago, and I have really enjoyed watching them. If you get two good teams – and you have a score of 78 to 80 or 84 to 77, it's fun to watch that. It's basketball on turf is what it is. You could see some real good athletes come out of six-man football.
Right, and just talking about some more of the games around our area in our district, you know, I like to look at our district thing, and we have a tough district, you know, and Mexia came into this game 1-0 in district. Fairfield came in
2-0.
You know, 2-0 in district, and we have one of those districts where at any night any team can you know take a victory, and so it's important for teams to get out and get the wins when they can and to play their best. You know, because looking at it all through the beginning of the season, I think we had 3 or 4 teams ranked in the top 20 in the state, and then
last week we had 3 in the top 10.
Right, and you kind of think that certain teams are going to be at the top of the district, and you look up, and Lorena, I believe, is 0-2 in district, and Robinson is 0-1 in district, and they were 2 of the top 10 teams in the state of Texas going into the district play. So,
you never know from one week to the other in this district who's going to win, because tonight the games are close.
Right.
Mexia's lead number 9 Fairfield here, 15-9. Robinson's down 14-7 to Lorena. And then Conley's just up on 3 points on Madisonville, who Mexia completely dominated in the first quarter against their game.
Right.
And they were tied with Fairfield 15-15 at halftime last week. So,
you know, and that's, you get a strong district like that here and there, and so you know every team's going to come out every week, you know, trying to get that win, because each week could be the determination whether you get into the playoffs at the end of the season or not.
Mexia has 2 losses. We lost to Cameron Yo that we completely dominated the whole first half, and I believe at the end of the game you could go back and say they had they had 2 more bigger plays than us, but overall the total yardage was about the same. And then we played Malakoff, which was number 2 or number 1 in 3A Division I at that time, and we completely outplayed them. It just cost us on shooting ourselves in the foot there in the third quarter.
The difference in a field goal in that game. So Mexia's played some Mejia's been playing some good football this season, and they had, like you said, they had 2 tough losses. Fairfield came into the game with only 1 loss, and they're ranked number 9 in the state. But we said it during our halftime show. It doesn't matter what team is ranked when they come into this game, because it's going to be hard fought.
Tonight's really going to be the first night that, like, these players are going to experience different things throughout the year. Like when you first start in Texas in August, you're going to fight cramps the first couple of games.
Yeah, you're going out there and it's 90 degrees or hotter at kickoff in those first, 3 or 4 games of your season. And then
now tonight we got to come out and hope to get stretched enough to not have an injury or pull something so, I mean.
And this time of the season is crazy because these kids, they started out the week practicing outside, in 80-plus degree weather, sun beaming down, and still having to make sure they're drinking enough water and staying hydrated to keep from cramping and stuff. And then all of a sudden, yesterday we got a northern blew in, the temperature dropped, and then last night, the end of the night, it was probably mid-70s, low 70s, and then we wake up this morning, it's in the 40s.
What do they say about Texas weather? If you don't like it right now, hang around a couple hours and you'll see something different.
Right, and that's exactly what seemed to happen today. If you didn't like the heat from yesterday, you stayed around, and you got definitely a cold front blew in last night and cool weather today.
Well, I had to run down to Grosback today after lunch. And Wallace, let me tell you something. Mexia got a little bit of rain today. Grosback was floating in water down there. They had water everywhere down there today. They said it had rained all morning long in Grosback.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we were thinking we may have had to face tonight, was not just the cold and the wind, but maybe some precipitation. But I guess the precipitation kind of dried up maybe about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Over in Mexia, it quit raining about 3 or 4, and then the sun came out a little bit, and it just stayed cold and windy, and that's what we have tonight.
It's been a nice evening. Yes, we're not sweating tonight. We're sitting here in a trench coat and a hoodie, and you got a Baylor hoodie on, and I'm going to ask you before we get back to this game, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow in the OU Texas game?
So I'm a Baylor Bear, so I don't really have too much liking for many other teams, but I do take a big interest in the other Big 12 schools. I've watched Texas play this year. I've watched OU play. OU is a high-octane offense. I don't think OU's seen another offense like they'll see out of Texas with the strength that Texas has, and I don't think they've seen as strong of a defense as they had. But the one concern I have is Texas' secondary and the way that OU is able to throw that ball around. If I had to choose tonight, I would give the edge to the Sooners.
I like to hear that. In the past couple of years, I've always been nervous because, there's not a whole lot of OU fans here in the Mexia area, so I have to hang out and run around with a bunch of Longhorn fans. And it was so funny. I took a picture earlier and put it on Facebook, and I had the OU upside down. And it was funny because the person that called it out was an Aggie, and I was like, well, it's a 15-yard penalty. I mean, you called it out. So it's just fun. It's all fun and ribbing and giving each other a hard time. But it's always a lot better for me the whole year if Oklahoma can pull it off.
Right.
Because they don't have to listen to me as much, but gosh, to have to listen to every one of them around here, man, they could go 1-12 and beat us, and you'd have thought they won the national championship by beating us. So, I mean, that's just the way rivals go. And as the Blackcats come back on the field, they look like they are still a little bit excited.
Yeah, they come out bouncing around. We're gonna see if they can bring that same intensity and that excitement they had the first half back out here for the second half, which is gonna be important and key for them to come out in intense and bouncing around and ready to make plays again, because Mexia will be kicking off to Fairfield as begin the second half, as Fairfield deferred after winning the coin toss at the beginning of the game. They'll get it. And
I'll tell you something that's really important here, Wallace, and a lot of people don't understand this, but when you defer,
Yeah.
and you take the ball in the second half, you give the kicking team the chance to decide which end of the field they want.
Right.
Mejia's going to be kicking this ball off from left to right, so they're going to be kicking the ball into the wind. But what that does is that gives Fairfield the third quarter to have the wind behind their back.
And Mejia gets it in the fourth.
Mejia will have it the last quarter of the game. And while we've been through 5 games so far, I want to comment on something that you don't see much anymore. Is Fairfield has got a huge band. I think they've got a bigger band than Mejia's Blackcat football team and band put together. And that's good to see because so many of our students are getting out of extracurricular activities, and to see a small town have a band that large, that's pretty exciting for them.
Right, you know, and I actually had this exact conversation throughout the week with some of my friends about, you know, the way our band, you know, we don't have the numbers that we had back. You know, back when I was in school, I was in band. I played football, played every sport, but I was also in band, you know, and we'd march out a band with 150 to 200 members each week, and now we just don't have that number. And I wish that kids would become more involved and more interested in extracurriculars and the arts, you know, as band and other things. But looking over, I want to give kudos, and I have to say this because we talked about Fairfield's number of members they have in the band. Their band director is Mr. Bill Large, who was the Mejia band director when I was in school, and I might be a little biased, but I'll say this: he's one of the best band directors you'll find around, and you can tell by the number of students he's able to have in the bands that he's conducting.
That's a quite impressive band that they have for a small school over there.
So as we get ready to tee it off,
Martinez will be kicking the ball off this time, and Mejia's gotten used to this pooch kick. And another high kick.
They call for they let it hit.
The ball's out, and Mejia's saying they have it again.
And you know what?
And they are pointing to the Mejia side.
And you know, it was the high pooch kick, and the Fairfield returner signaled fair catch, but then he let it hit the ground. And once it hit the ground, it becomes a live ball for anybody to get. And the ball just hit, and it bounced back towards the Mejia side of the field, and Mejia was able to dive on the ball there.
I'll be honest with you, Wallace. I don't know why more teams don't go to that. I mean, if you're going to kick it down the field, because we were talking about this earlier, kicking it to the 30-yard line, you're going to let them run it to the 10. Well, just kick it high, 10 or 15 yards deep, and either tackle them or give yourself a chance to get the ball.
Right, and that's exactly what Mejia did on that play. I think they found a little weak spot.
It's going to be a handoff to Wiley.
No, Proctor keeps it, and he's around the edge. And it's a foot race, and he gets out. He runs out of bounds about the
28-yard line.
Yeah. You know, and
I'm going to tell you tonight, Proctor has brought his fake A game. He's done really well on his.
And you know, he's selling that fake to the last minute and then pulling it out. And what that does is it makes the defense begin to flow, and then he's able to see that hole. And when he pulls it out, he hits the hole and accelerates through, and he's finding good running room.
As Mejia comes out with 2 tights, that's Harrison and Deichler on each end. Proctor and Wiley in the backfield snap back, and it's going to hand off to
Wiley, and he breaks.
He breaks
spin moves.
And
he breaks
he's
loose,
not going to get caught. Mejia
touchdown
again. As we have a Fairfield Eagle down.
Yeah, and he's up running off under his own power.
Mejia has completely taken control of this.
You know, and we talked all about how deferring in the first half and getting the kickoff can be a big momentum swing, and you know, Mejia just kind of took that away with being able to recover that kick, and then they throw a pass.
Oh, and he catches it for the 2-point conversion, uncovered in the end zone.
You know, and Mejia lines up in that formation, and
Fairfield has been confused all night long on that formation. And
number 14, Evan Harrison caught that 2-point conversion.
And Mejia has had them confused all night long on that swinging gate. And Fairfield is just walking right now. They don't have any excitement to them.
You know, they're just looking over there. The momentum, like we said, the momentum's all on the Mejia sideline. The score becomes 23-7. Mejia with 11:39 left in the third quarter. You know, that was a quick strike from Mejia. They were able to recover that kickoff, and then they were able to move the ball down the field quickly.
Is hot.
They're on the benches telling the fans to get up and cheer. you know, that's what you like to see when you're watching the game.
They are as excited on the sideline as we have seen them in a long time. As Mexia lines up the kick, they're kicking left to right this time, but this time they're going to kick off the far hash mark, and he looks like he might be ranging up to kick it a little bit deeper than what he has been.
No, he's taking that angle again, like he'll probably pooch it. Looks like we may get it about around the 30-yard line.
I'd go 3 for 3. He's on fire.
Right.
And it's kicked, and it's going to be a short.
It's a fair catch.
And he catches that one.
Yeah, number 1, fair caught that one. I don't think they wanted to take a chance on.
He kind of bobbled that a little bit as well, so they're a little unsure of themselves right now. If Mexia could come out right here and just stop them and get the ball back, that could be a complete momentum takeover and back crusher right there.
And, you know, I'm looking, and they've kind of shifted their return unit to try to take it, to try to receive that little high kick. I think if Mexia sneaks one over the opposite side of their switch, they may be able to get another recovery.
Mexia comes up to the line of scrimmage. It's number 8, Abram, hands off to 5, and they're just stopped at the line of scrimmage.
You know,
and it's a gang tackle. That's one thing we talked about earlier tonight. The strength of Fairfield is to run the ball, and the strength of Mexia is to gang tackle the run.
Right, and number 5's running straight up the middle into big AK Metlock, and you're not moving him when he doesn't want to be moved.
No,
and he and Dawson Scott
and he's hitting the backfield
and that's
by Scott
Dawson
on
Scott.
that one.
You know, and they're just fighting off of those offensive linemen and getting in the backfield almost every play. If not both of them are back there, one of them's back there.
But now
and then
third
you see,
down and 7.
And then we have Cooper cleaning them up.
And Scott is about to hit him again. No,
he rolls out. And
he picks up about 15, 35 yards. That's their best run of the night.
Yeah, that was their best run, and it kind of came off a broken play. And the right end lost contain. And he was able to get around the edge, because Dawson Scott flushed him out of the backfield while he was setting up to try to pass.
And that's going to be a handoff.
Handoff to Hudson.
And he's going to gain of about 5 yards, 4 to 5 on that. As Fairfield, when they start rolling, they get to moving the ball. They go fast.
They go fast, and that's what it is right now. They're speeding up, and they're going right at Mexia. Mejia's going to have to, and the quarterback pulls it. And he tries to get around the edge, and he gets ran out of bounds.
As Cooper that had the edge there, or Hubbard.
And then we got a Fairfield player down over on the Mexia sideline. Looks like number 7 for the Eagles.
You always hate to see a kid down on the field. And you know, most weather you think, hey, we're having cramps. But, of course, you wouldn't think cramps tonight on a night like this.
No, I'm not sure what that one was, because he looked like he went to maybe help block for his runner and ended up on the ground and then tried to get up and fell right back down. We have the training staff out, and they're helping him up. And he's going to be assisted off back across to the Fairfield side of the field.
He broke his hand, broke a finger. Lamarian?
Yeah, and so as number 7 for the Eagles is helped off the field, we see the Blackcat defense line back up and get ready for the Fairfield offense to take the field as they run in a new player to replace number 7.
Hopefully he'll be all right as he exits the field. Mexia lines up. It's first down and 10 on about the 28-yard line. Snap back to Abram, and he's going to take off running. And
he's brought down.
At the line of scrimmage.
And he keeps trying to roll out, and Big Dawson Scott is coming upfield and making him reverse out every time.
Yeah, he's not that right side. Dawson Scott has dominated, and Eric's dominated up the middle.
And if the left side contains, he's flushing them back to this side every time. And that time they were able to bring him down before he could gain any.
Abram.
Now it's handed to number 4, and he's driven back in the back. And that's Eric Matlock and Big Dawson Scott again. Just conversion on the ball carrier. It's going to bring up 3rd and 9. And Fairfield's making some changes, bringing in some new players.
My head comes to the line, and Fairfield has the ball. It's going to be a snap back to Abram.
Hand off to 5, out wide, and Dawson Scott has
just going to wrap him up and bring him down. And that's going to bring up a 4th down for Fairfield.
Dawson Scott, again, fights off his blocker and wraps up the ball carrier in the backfield, and Dravion Cooper comes to finish him off.
I will tell you this, and I'm sure there is some scouts in the stands tonight with this game, but if you've come to watch one game all year long, Eric and Dawson Scott is going to be on your football team.
Right.
Because they have played ball tonight.
You know, and just looking at
right now, you almost want to look for a fake punt here because you know when you're down by 2 touchdowns.
Looks like they're setting up for the field goal. Kick, holds down, kicks up, and it hits the crossbar and bounces over.
That's something.
You can't.
Sometimes you just got to get some momentum going your way.
Yeah, you just need to see something go your way. And that time, that ball was kicked. It was kind of low line driver, and with the wind at his back, and it carried enough to get to the crossbar. It hit the crossbar, bounced straight up in the air, and the spin of the ball let it fall back across the.
I think they sent their eagle from the press box down through there and pushed that ball through with his wings. But
I think when it hit the crossbar and went straight up, the wind gusted just enough to push it across, and they ended up getting 3 points out of it.
That's a 3-pointer you're not going to have in the 4th quarter for sure.
No. You know, and so now we'll look at Fairfield kicking off to Mexia.
The thing on that is that's actually a win for the Mexia defense after that long play.
Right.
Because if they're able to get the ball here and drive down the field and score a touchdown, well, that field goal right there, you can't exchange field goals for touchdowns, especially when Mexia scoring 8-point touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, and when that long play putting them inside the 25.
Onside kick right here.
And it's going to be the big pooch to B.J. Sunday again. He'll return it, and he breaks
up the middle,
and he gets a seam, and he's still running. He falls.
They're calling him down.
They're calling him down, but
he rolled over on
he
number
never
7.
touched the ground. He rolled over on the player that tried to bring him down, but he'll be marked down at the 34-yard line, which is a good return of I'd say about 15 yards. You know, and Mexia will take over there, and we'll see if the Black Cat offense can keep it moving and driving like they've done the last few times they've had the ball.
They're going to come out with 2 tights once again. And they're just going to try to run the ball, Wallace. That's what their bread and butter is, running the ball, and they're lining up saying, I'm putting man on man. I'm going to see if
Proctor pulls it. He keeps his balance. He reverses field and gets upfield and then dives forward.
Pickup of
about 3. You know, and it looked like a good play. Then it looked like he was going to get strung out, and then he made a couple of juke moves.
The right defensive end was clearly offsides there. He jumped way early. And why we can't get a penalty against Fairfield is befuddling to us.
Yeah, there hasn't been a flag.
I mean, he was in the Black Cat backfield before the ball was snapped.
And again,
it's just a straight handoff, and he pulled it and run up the middle, and they were just there. So now it brings up a 3rd and 9.
Yeah, seeing a little chippiness around the pile. You know, you want to make sure the Black Cats keep their heads and cools and don't do anything to pick up any personal foul penalties.
We have a 13-point lead. No sense in having any nonsense penalties.
Right. You know, and right here they're going to take the play. You know, we've been in these formations all night. Looks like we'll have Banks up the top with Holman in the slot, Clark at the bottom.
And almost got intercepted by the Eagles.
It was tipped by a defender short of where the receiver was and knocked in the air.
I'm sorry. You've been running the ball, and you're leading by 13. You gotta run the ball there and keep the clock moving. I mean,
I think you're trying to go get a first down. I would have liked to see. Looked like we had 2 out routes there, just at different levels. But I would have liked to see maybe one of them push the seam. I mean, we've gotten behind their secondary all night.
Yes.
And you have a lot of speed on the field. Maybe we can go over the top again. And again, we're punting into the wind this time, and it checks up pretty short, and my head downs it.
Well, we're putting that Black Cat defense back out there, and they have looked so sharp tonight. Fairfield's going to take over at about their own 38-yard line.
Yeah. You know, and we're going to ask the defense to hold up one more time and try to get the ball back for the offense. You know, and another thing, Jeremy, you know, we're talking about trying to go deep, but again, trying to go deep, throwing that ball up into this headwind.
Yes.
May have been one of the reasons the play that we ran, but that goes along more with your philosophy of maybe just running it, and if you don't get it, you're running the clock, and then you punt it away anyways.
Well, we have Abram here in the backfield, and he's going to drop back and use the wind.
Oh, and they run like a
and
little
he drops the ball. Number 3 drops the ball as he was wide open, nobody around him.
You know,
as we had a miscommunication in the Black Cat defense.
It looked like they tried to run a little screen down the field, but if he catches that ball, there's receivers already blocking, and that should have been a penalty. So
it's going to be a snap back and a handoff to Fuller.
No, 8 keeps it around the edge, and he's going to be ran out of bounds by
for a gain
12.
Of about 3. That's Jeremiah Hubbard.
That's
not Jeremiah Hubbard.
Jabrian Busby
yeah.
on the defensive play on that one of being able to run the quarterback out of bounds, and then Fairfield will line it up quick again, snaps back, handoff to number 4, and he's drugged down by number 52 on that play.
And that's going to bring up the 4th down. And it looks like Fairfield's going to bring their punt team on, but Mejia's like, no.
They're going to leave the defense, but they're going to run Holman back to return.
We got too many people on the field right now for the Black Cats.
Here
we run 3 off right now real fast.
And they're off. Mejia set up. You know, Fairfield made some changes, so they had to give Mejia time to make their changes. So now Fairfield runs their receiver out in motion to put 2 gunners on the right side of their offense. Snaps back. Punts up and away, and it's a low end over end to Holman, and he's able to make a couple guys miss, and he's up the sideline.
Is he finally going to get to break one? He's been close all year long.
And they run him out of bounds at about the Eagle 36-yard line.
He has been so close all year long.
You know, in that time, I think he was maybe 1 cut back away from taking it to the house. They were able to get him to the sideline, and he couldn't get away from it, and they got him out of bounds.
Again, that's Trey Holman, and he is all year long been just 1 step away from taking it to the house. And what he does here on this night in this game is able to just completely turn field position.
Right, and that's exactly what the Black Cats needed then. You know, they punted away the last time. They were able to get it back and flip the field, so they'll start this drive inside Eagle territory.
So the Black Cats come back, and they have Proctor with Jones and Wiley flanking him. And it's just going to be a handoff to Jones up the middle.
And he breaks loose.
Up the middle.
And
he's going to be going to the sideline. And
it's a face mask, and he's in
touchdown.
He's in the end zone. Again, like we said all night, those 2 young men run the ball hard. And that time, and one thing you like to see is they're not selfish with it, because when the other one's having success, they're the first one to congratulate them. And on that play, you seen Jarrell Wiley lead blocking for Trey Jones.
I do want to finally say one thing. We've been giving the officials a hard time, but they finally threw their first flag on Fairfield with 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter of the game.
And that was an obvious face mask. Yes. He grabbed Trey Jones, but Trey Jones just kind of turned his head with him and drug him on into the end zone with him.
Come on, big boy. You want my face mask? Come in with me.
And we have the extra point pending as they'll line up in traditional field goal formation. Holds down, kicks up, and it's good. And that brings the score to Mejia 30, Fairfield 10, with 5 minutes and 39 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
And we'll be back from Black Cat, our Eagle Field in Fairfield, Texas, Black Cat football. We'll be right. As we come back to Eagle football field here, the Blackcats are leading 30-10 here in the third quarter. As Mejia's getting ready to kick off, they're going to kick off from right to left, and they're going to kick off from the 45 of the Eagles from this side hash mark over here on the visitor side. Mejia lines up here. I can say, Wallace, this has been kind of an experience for Fairfield. And it's a kick. Oh, and he almost gets it.
But he gets out of bounds, which will bring a penalty flag.
But it looked like number 4, B.J. Sunday, was just a couple of steps from getting that ball as the kicker went up to kick like he was going to kick it to the left side and just completely turned, and he's left-footed and kicked it back to the right. And caught Fairfield completely running to the other side of the field, but the ball fell out of the ball fell out of bounds before Mejia could reach it. As I want to shout out as number 9, Lamarian Miller, got hurt earlier tonight. Looks like he might have broken a finger, and he's come back down on the sideline, and he wants to play so bad.
Yeah, but I like to see it. He's in there, and he's cheering for his teammates, and you see him walking around holding his helmet. And he's kind of boosting them on. And Mejia brings a blitz, and the ball just floats. But
the ball's out loose. Mejia picks it up.
And now we're returning it. That's Jaden Busby on the return.
And he's going to go down on the 15-yard line.
But we were just about to say that number 17, who's taking the place of Lamarian Miller right now, Will Coleman, busted an assignment, and they were able to get behind him for the catch. But Coleman made a great effort play and chased down the receiver and poked the ball out before he tackled him. And Jaden Busby was able to pick it up and return it back out. Mejia take over at.
Once again, we have another penalty on Mejia.
Yeah. We got a block in the back penalty on the return, so it'll push us back half the distance of the goal.
It's still a backbreaker to break loose on a ball, and you run down there, and you're so excited, and the ball's knocked out before you're down, and the other team recovers it.
Mejia will take over on the 8-yard line.
Once again, this penalty was way upfield. That ball was not in his hands but a few seconds, and how you could have a block in the back on that is unbelievable, but okay.
I mean, there was
no. It's going to hand off to Wiley. He breaks up the middle, and he's going to have a pickup of about 7.
Speaking of that, there was nobody back there but the man that picked up the ball, the tackler, and the 2 receivers, but somehow there was a block in the back around the play.
Back up here around about the 50-yard lines where they had that flag, and the ball was picked up around the 10 to 15-yard line. So there's no way these guys up here knew that ball was on the ground. So that's just, once again, just a penalty thrown out there to throw one. So Mejia comes to the line. His handoff to Wiley, and he busts up the middle. And he's still on his feet.
And he's going to break one. He's up the sideline. And he cuts back.
And he breaks across the middle.
And now he's down at midfield.
What a run by Wiley for the Blackcats.
It looked like they had him around the line of scrimmage. He broke a loose. It looked like they had him again at about 4 yards down the field. And he was able to break out of the pile, and then he just put on the jets and outran a few people, made a couple cuts before they were able to drag him down in midfield. And the Cats are back rolling again. They started out deep in their own territory, and now they're at midfield. We just want to keep the offense rolling and going.
Snap back to Proctor's. A
he
handoff
to
to
Trey Jones, and he's out around the left end,
and he's up the sideline. Face mask once again. Are they not going to throw the penalty?
And he just drags the defender
How
for about 5 yards.
How are you not throwing a penalty on that? He got turned completely around by his face mask, and we ain't throwing a penalty. Just once again, horrible officiating tonight. He got completely turned around by his face mask, and nobody threw a penalty.
When you have someone running around the edge and that head snaps around and the rest of their body's still going forward, you don't see that too much without somebody grabbing a hold of that face mask.
But yet you can see a block in the back 50 yards away from a play. This is really tough.
The Cats get ready for the snap. Back to Proctor.
Hand
Hand
off
off
to
to
Wiley,
Wiley, and he's up the middle.
Once again, a good 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
Just tough running by Wiley.
And right now, the Blackcats seem to be controlling it. They're controlling the line of scrimmage, and they're running. Proctor's handing it off. Wiley and Jones are running tough. Proctor's making good reads, and when it's time for him to pull it, he's been pulling it and running around as well. You know, and we want to see the Blackcats keep doing it. They're chewing up clock with the run game, and then they're moving it down the field as well.
So now we have split backfield with Jones and Wiley, one on each side of Proctor. 2 tight ends, snap back and hand off Jones up the middle, and they're going to meet him right there on that one.
Yeah, and it looks like he'll have a real short gain on that one. But, you know, nonetheless, he falls forward even though they met him at the backfield. He fell forward for maybe about half a yard instead of being stopped in the backfield. And so the Blackcats are lined up there waiting for the call from the sidelines.
And they're not in any hurry with a 20-point lead. I mean, there's no sense.
There's no reason to be. You want to run this clock down. The clock's your friend right now. Run it down. Keep moving the ball ahead like they've been doing. Hand off to Trey Jones. And, again, it looks like a short loss on that one. Looks like Fairfield's starting to stack the box and just start trying to shoot people off the edges and through gaps to try to combat the Mexia run game. And, you know, that's when you want to say it's time to take a shot over the top. But when you're up 20 and you're trying to run clock, even though they're loading the box, you may do it if the situation's right. But all in all, you just want to keep that clock moving and run that clock down.
That's all you want right now. With a 20-point lead, you want that clock ticking every second you can get. Well, now it's 4th and 8 for Mexia. Looks like they're going to go for it on their own 34-yard line. Mexia calls a timeout as time was running out on them. I'm for the whole thing of punting it deep right. I mean, because you're up by 20.
You know, and the only thing I'll say against that, and I think this is a good timeout to talk about what you're going to do, is that you have the ball right now on about the 34-yard line of Fairfield. If you punt it and it goes into the end zone, you gain about 14 yards of field position. You know, and you run that risk with it being so close. Right here, I would just take a shot down the field. If you come up with a catch, okay. If it's an interception, it's the same as a punt. And if it's incomplete, you turn the ball over on the 34-yard line, and your defense gets to go back out and try to hold the Fairfield offense again.
Well, Mejia's going to come back out here. Looks like we're going to come out in a spread offense. We got twins down here to the bottom and one up top with Wiley and Proctor in the backfield. Snap back to Proctor. He rolls out to his right.
He throws it down, and Holman's wide open down.
It's a catch made about the 4-yard line. They're going to put it on the 5.
And that's what we just said. Just kind of throw it up for grabs. And if your man comes down with it, you take it. If the other team comes down with it, tackle them, and it's a punt.
I believe Proctor's finally starting to gain confidence. If I throw it up there, either he's going to catch it or he's going to knock it down.
Right.
And that's important for a quarterback to have that confidence in a wide receiver.
Right, and just watching that play, you know, in the weeks past, we would have seen Proctor try to reverse out and make something happen with his feet. That time he just bought himself some time, faked a little reverse, and then just threw it up for Holman to go get.
And it's going to be a handoff to Holman around.
No, Proctor keeps it
up the middle,
and he dials out for the touchdown.
Blackcats. That's going to make it 36-10 Mexia over the number 9 Fairfield Eagles. Everybody in Fairfield, Texas is stunned right now.
And Mexia shifts back into their traditional extra point alignment, and Martinez will come out to put the extra point up. We'll wait.
56 seconds left here. The Blackcats have scored again.
Snaps back, ball's down, kicks up, and the extra point is good.
37-10, Mexia over the Fairfield Eagles.
And with 56 seconds left in the third quarter, the Blackcats have really basically dominated this game, Jeremy. You know, from beginning to end, with the exception of the one interception that Fairfield was able to return to a touchdown, they have not done very much.
They had one long pass, And the quarterback
And one
on a
long
broken
run.
play had a long run around the left side. And other than that, Mexia has completely shut Fairfield out at home.
Right, and and we talked about the beginning of the game, the first few drives in the first quarter, it was just a back and forth punting fest, and then all of a sudden Mexia started to roll and got their momentum, and they've been able to pretty much move the ball up and down the field since then.
Yes.
And and we saw that on the last play when we talked about needing things to go your way sometimes. And that time, Proctor being able to throw a ball up in the air and Holman bring it down just went the Blackcat way.
Just to have the trust and the chance to throw the ball. I mean, in that situation, if they knock it down, oh well. If they intercept it, okay. But if we catch it, oh my gosh, it just changes everything.
Kicks up and fair catch is called. And
on the 35-yard line?
Yeah, and so Fairfield will take over on the 35. Mexia running back to the sideline and huddle ready to send the defensive unit back out onto the field.
This is the first game I can tell you that I've seen Mexia completely dominate on every facet of the game. The special teams has been phenomenal tonight. Their defense has dominated pretty much every game this year except for a play or two. But the offense has really lined up and said, you know what, we're going to do what we want tonight.
Right, and it all starts up front with those big guys, and we hadn't been able to give them the recognition that we usually are, but they've really dominated as number 5's able to take a handoff around the right side for a gain of about 7 or 8. Bring up 2nd and 2.
If you're going to come back and win this game, you're going to have more than 8 yards of play.
Right.
And he's going to break one right around the right side.
He'll get about 7 yards on that, and they'll move the chains. And right now they're running and they're up tempo, but they're running so the clock keeps running.
Yes.
And that's not a bad thing. And Mexia needs to stop, and he drops back to pass. Ball's up in the air, and it's broken up.
No way! No way!
That is a
horrible
call.
He turned around to find the ball. It went off his helmet, and they threw a flag.
He's running step for step with the receiver, and he turns and makes a play to deflect the ball. And there's no contact on that play, but he's calling a pass interference.
Fairfield Eagles, you are welcome, because that has been how it's been all night long for calls. Well, Fairfield comes back to the line of scrimmage with a 1st and 10 on their own 30 on the Mexia 35. It's going to be a handoff
around the edge,
and he's going to be just hammered
he's drilled
at the line of scrimmage.
And that's big AK Metlock and Dravion Cooper.
He jumped over one defender, and
he felt the wrath of those two young men.
Cooper hit him, and his head snapped back. So Mexia is going to lead at the end of the third quarter, 37-10.
And as we go into a break between quarters, we're going to take you to our sponsors in a break here.
To Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Part, Greer & Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays.
As we come back to Blackcat Field, Mexia's on defense. We've switched everything around, and we'll be going left to right here. It's going to be 2nd down and 10 at the Mexia 35-yard line.
Fairfield will have Abram and Hudson in the backfield, hand off to Hudson, and Mexia, he gets a gain of about 5 on that run, down to about the 30-yard line.
We got an
and we don't want to see that because that's big AK Metlock, who comes off holding. He's actually laying on the field, not sure what's going on as the training staff comes out to attend to him.
once again, as we said earlier, that's the worst thing to see is somebody on the field laying down hurt because we don't want any of these students injured at any time.
Exactly. You don't want any injuries, and when you sit there, you hold your breath and you hope and pray and send good vibes to that young man that everything
he has
is
played
all right.
an outstanding game this evening.
Right. And as we see him getting up to his feet, he's walking off under his own power.
Looks like he's holding his right hand there a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be able to work that out and get that big hoss back out on the field as he has had an exceptional game tonight.
You're gonna hope so because he and Dalton Scott have really controlled that defensive front and limited the productivity of the Eagles' offense.
As we snap back to, he's going to break up the middle. He's going to have enough for the first down.
Oh, the
ball
ball's
comes
loose,
out in my
and Mexia recovers it
once again.
and that's number 2. Number 2,
like,
that Kennedy for Mexia.
And like Cooper was the one that ripped it out.
Yeah. You know, and that's a big play for the Blackcats because it looks like Fairfield saw that Metlock had gone out and they just ran the ball right to where he had left the field from, and they had put a replacement in. And the whoever it was, and I think, like you say, I think it may have been Dravion Cooper, was able to get in on that tackle and just rip the ball out. And Mexia caught it out of the air, and they're going to take over now on their own 21-yard line.
Got twins down here to the bottom with two running backs, Wiley and Jones, and it's going to be a handoff up the middle to Jones.
He's going to pick up about 2 or 3 yards on that run.
As now you're just running clock. That's all you want. You don't snap the ball with less than 5 seconds. With more than 5 seconds.
Right.
I mean, it's just, hey, I have lined up and run over you all night long. I'm just on this clock.
You know, at this point in the game, you know you're going to run it. They know you're going to run it, and you're going to hunker down and say, we're bigger, we're badder than you, and we're going to do exactly what you think we're going to do, and you're not going to be able to stop it.
Wiley takes the ball up the middle, and it's going to be a gain of about a yard, maybe 2.
We'll bring up third and about 6. A long 6. Mexia make some personnel changes as they look to the sideline for their call. They'll get the signals in and they're hustling up with 1 second.
Now this that's what
and it looks like the Mexia coaches were trying to wait to give the play out to run the clock down, but in that situation you want to go ahead and give your team the play and just let your quarterback hold the huddle until the clock runs down and then break out and go up. It doesn't look like they got the play in until about 8 seconds on the play clock, and then the offense had to try to scramble to get up to the line of scrimmage. You want to kind of go and give them the play, let your quarterback be in control of holding them, send them out there with about 10 seconds or so on the clock, stand up, get them down, and snap that ball with less than 5 seconds. So you have to use a timeout, which you really don't want to because it stops the clock.
Yes.
And right now you're wanting to keep that clock running.
You have all the momentum.
Right.
So Mexia comes back to the line with 10 minutes, 11 seconds left here in the fourth quarter.
And the ball's going to be thrown up. Oh, and it's caught by Evan Harrison down the field at the 45-yard line. You know, and that's another big play. And like we said, we've been able to get behind the secondary, and Jaden Proctor's just throwing it up and trusting his receivers to go up and catch the ball over the defenders.
I mean, when you on that play, he had about 2 or 3 inches on that guy. So he just went above him and caught the ball.
And it just looked like 2 guys getting ready for a rebound, and Harrison's bigger, and he went up and got him high.
The Fairfield guy was grabbing him, but you didn't see a flag come out anywhere.
Going to be a snap. Oh, looks like a little. Oh, yeah, and Proctor smartly just goes down. You know, and that keeps the clock. It's a loss of about 3 yards, but it keeps the clock running. and he doesn't take a hit on that play, which is smart. It looked like a busted play. He went to hand off to someone and nobody was there, and he just tried to make something out of nothing.
As they come back to the huddle, we got 19 seconds left on the play clock. Surely get here and just.
Yeah, you want to tell him to just hold it, and he's looking back at the play clock.
And now in high school football, they have a play clock on each end of the field, and it's going to be snapped with about 2 seconds left, and it's going to be handed off to Jones up the middle.
And he's turning his legs
over folks and gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
You know, and that now it looks a lot more smooth, but from the offense, a lot smoother from the offense and the coach of getting the play out, letting Proctor get his team to the line, and then just standing there and holding it until he's ready to get them down and snap the ball, which that time it was snapped about 2 seconds. That's all you want to see.
For sure.
Don't snap that ball until it's under 3 seconds from here on out and run that clock down. It'll bring up 3rd and about 11 from the 46-yard line.
As we got a 3rd down for Mexia again. Snap back to Proctor. It's just going to be a
quick pass out to Holman.
And Holman's going to break it loose down the right side.
And he's up the sideline, and they drag him down about the 20. That's a great play.
Little wide receiver screen that Holman was able to catch and just break.
You know, you just throw it out there quick to a man a yard behind the line of scrimmage and then let him do the work. And Holman, with his athleticism and his ability, he turned a little quick pass out into about a 20-yard gain. Actually, that's about a 26-yard gain on that play as they marked it at the 20-yard line.
Mexia started this drive with 12 minutes left in the game, and they've run it down to about 7 minutes and 50 seconds. So it's just a straight on the ground. No!
Oh, the ball's down. Proctor covers it up. You know, and that's a play that was almost a disaster for Mexia, but the ball bounced our way. We were able to get back on it.
That's the difference between what's happening for the Eagles tonight and Mexia.
Right.
That ball bounced right toward him.
And
Fairfield's ball has been bouncing away from them.
Yeah. Proctor was able to get back on it. It seemed just like a little disconnect between the running back and quarterback
now
on that.
after they snap this ball, right when they snap this ball, it would be almost bringing the play underneath 6 minutes left. And, I mean, that's what the key to this is now, is running the clock with a 27-point lead. You don't want that clock to stop at all.
That ball snapped with 1 second on the clock. Oh, and Proctor's hit as he throws it, and the ball's intercepted. You know, and you don't want to see that, but Fairfield they blitzed the cornerback off the edge where there wasn't anybody.
But why are we throwing the football?
And right there, you don't have anybody there to block that, and you want your quarterback to be aware. But I'm like you at that position, at that point in time, you just want to run the ball and keep running the clock. You know, it was you were at the 20-yard line. You don't have to do anything special. Just run the ball. Run it down. I mean, you're in range for your field goal kicker with the wind at his back right there.
Now snap back, and he's going to just be a quarterback run.
And he's run out of bounds.
Hey!
And you know, that's frustration. You see the quarterback mouthing in the face of a defender after the play. And, you know, that's a good job by the Mexia team on their sideline and that player of not reacting to what was being done by the Fairfield player. Oh, and he's going to be sacked again by Dalton Scott.
That's Big Dawson once again.
You know, and that's Dalton Scott on one side, and I think that's Dontavius Davis on the other side, just pushing up those edges and keeping the quarterback contained, and then they're able to get to him to bring him down.
Let's say kudos to the secondary, because nobody was open at all, and they're just not being able to get open before they're able to get to him.
And that's a holding and great pass breakup.
Once again, there's a flag on the mat, and you know that's against Mexia.
There should have been a holding against Big A.K. Medlock, yes, because he was tackled. to the ground in the backfield. He was tackled on the ground in the backfield, and there is no flag thrown. But Mexia got a pass interference call on the play.
Well, Mexia comes back up on defense. Fairfield gets to the line. It's 1st and 10 with 6 minutes left in the game. It's a snap back, and it's just going to throw it down the middle of the field. And it's incomplete. With 3 Blackcats all the way around him. You know when they throw that ball, you just hold your breath that there's not a flag coming out.
Right. Because with the way the game's been going, that's the first thing you look for. Before you even look to see if the catch is made, you look to see if a flag's hit the ground. You know, Mexia makes a sub on this play.
That'll be Allen coming in for Scott.
Right. It'll bring up
second down and 10.
And great play in the backfield by the defense. And that was Dontavius Davis who got back in the backfield to him first, and he was able to hit him and grab on and hold on long enough for his teammates to get there and help bring the runner down.
So with 5 minutes and 50 seconds left here in the fourth quarter, it'll be 3rd down and 12 for the Eagles. And you pretty much know they're throwing the ball here.
Right, you know.
Just snap back and throw it right out here to the right. Oh, and it was almost intercepted by 31 Smith.
You know, and he did the right thing at that time as he's played the receiver and not the ball, and the ball just went over both of their heads.
As Fairfield is pretty much conceding the loss here. They're
going to line up for a punt. Mexia's going to run some extra bodies onto the field to return the punt. See them counting to make sure they have everybody out there.
And they're sitting there.
Trey Holman's going to be back to receive the punt.
Make sure this isn't a fake.
And it's up, and it's going to be a short end-over-end kick, and Mexia gets away from it.
Takes a Mexia bounce as Fairfield downs at about the 43-yard line.
You know, I'm really not sure what the one umpire is seeing when the lines judge, because the line judge on the far marked that ball about the 44, and then the guy that ran in from the back placed it at the 42. You know, I think
they're not watching the same game as us anyway.
I think they're just marking it wherever whoever catches it stops moving instead of where they touch it.
And that's the back judge that marked that, and he didn't let the line judge mark it. It's a handoff to Wiley up the middle. Just tough running for about 2 yards, 3 maybe. As all Mexia is going to do is run the clock out here.
Yeah, you just want to run it. It's 5 minutes and 20 seconds left. You're up 27. There's no reason to do anything but keep the ball on the ground, let your horses run, let those big guys up front dominate and lead you on to run this clock out. As Proctor trots back onto the field, gives the signal to the huddle, they break out and await the snap.
2 seconds, 1 down, and we're going to hand off to Wiley
around the right edge.
He makes one cut, and he runs into his own man, but he's still – the ball's on the ground. Fairfield's saying they have it.
Yeah, and they do. Oh, and Wiley's hurt.
He made one spin and run into his own man standing there. So Mexia go back on defense here. It's been a really sloppy fourth quarter. But when you're up 37-10, you have a little leeway there. But we have Wiley down. As we said earlier, we don't want any of these students hurt.
No. And you want to pray that young man's okay over there on the field as the training staff goes out to attend to him. As he was just trying to make a hard run around the edge and get yardage. Not sure what happened. He spun off of one defender, ran into his own, and looked like he was going down, and the ball popped out. And
as we have a injury timeout here on the field, let's go over some scores. Whitney's lead 35-3. Lorena's up on Robinson 27-14. Madisonville and Conley's 34 Conley, 17 Madisonville. McGregor's 28, West is 31. Dawson's 36, Hubbard's 29. Wortham's leading 36-15 at halftime. No, in the fourth quarter, I'm sorry. Calvert is getting beat by Milford 30-12. Games that we have final tonight, Brownwood has defeated Gatesville. Tig defeated Grosback. We won't say the score there, save Freddie from running off. Mark won 68-0.
And as you talk,
Coolidge beat Oakwood tonight 63-40, so that's 2 top 10 teams Coolidge has beaten the last 2 weeks.
And as you talk, Jarrell Wiley was able to walk off the field back over to the sideline. Fairfield will take over.
They get a good 7-8 yard run here.
Right. You know,
there's just not much air left in the stadium between all the turnovers here in the fourth quarter and the injuries piling up on both sides. Right. It's just one of them games you're like, let's just get this over with and go to the house.
Get out and try to stay healthy. You know,
Dawson Scott once again with the stop in the backfield. Man, too bad we can't have 2 Dawson Scotts and 2 big A-Ricks up there. Cause
you know what? But I think we're on our way there with some of these younger guys. Because number 35, Dontavius Davis, on that play right
Connor
there.
McNeil's been big
Connor
tonight.
McNeil, and they're young. You know, Connor is just a junior. He'll be back next year. And Dontavius Davis is just a sophomore. We've seen Jawan Wright go in and play some. He's a sophomore. So some of those guys, you know, will be coming back. And we hope they fill out and they –
as they went for it again on 4th down, and I don't think they made it.
It looks like there might have been a fumble, or I seen a flag come in.
It looked like a false start, but they let the play continue. So
I see a flag on the ground, but I'm not sure what exactly the flag was for. But then it looked like it may have been a fumble because I seen people diving out.
Well, we knew the flag would be on Mexia.
I'm not really sure what it was.
Fairfield snapped that ball fast. Nobody moved.
What did they say the call was?
I think we were calling signals.
Oh, they said that Mexia is mimicking the signal, which I'm not sure.
It looks like it might be an interception.
Oh, and it is an interception by Will Coleman, and he's going to return that ball back, and he's still moving.
Well,
to about the
maybe those secrets Mexia was telling on the line was we're going to intercept your next play.
Right, you know, when a team gets up and they run a hurry up and they snap it quick, I don't think you're mimicking a snap count. So I'm not really sure how they came up with that call, but. All in all, the Blackcats come back. They intercept the next pass. A big play by Will Coleman as he just went over the top of the receiver and snatched it away from him.
He just said, I'm taller than you are, and it's my ball.
Right. And so the Blackcats will take over on their own 30-yard line.
So as Mexia brings in Banks as the quarterback here, it's going to be a snapback, just a handoff to Jones up the middle. That's all we're going to see the rest of the way, surely.
Yeah, and we really shouldn't see anything else, Jeremy. You know, with the lead they have, the time running, you just want to milk the clock and get out of here without any more injuries.
Yes.
You know, and
I mean, it's not like Fairfield's coming back.
Right. You know, at this point, you can run the ball.
And I want to give a big kudos to the Blackcat defense because they did not give up an offensive touchdown tonight.
At this point, they have not, and they played great.
And to do that against the number 9 team in the state, that is just unbelievable. To come in to their home turf and say, we're going to do what we want to, whether you have the ball or I have the ball, and just run over them.
And it's a handoff to Jones.
It's just phenomenal for the whole Blackcat team.
He's up the middle for about 1 yard.
They won't have to snap this one until it's under 2 minutes left in the game.
You know, you snap this one no matter the result. If you get a first down, then you're just running the clock out.
I will say this.
If you don't, then
Mexia will be fun to be around tonight and for the next week.
Right.
After a huge win like this.
You know, and this will bring the Blackcats to 2-0 in district.
Yes.
You know, and that's big time in our district like we were talking about at the beginning. Winning those games when you can win and taking advantage of that is the best thing you can do in a tough district like. It'll keep them right up at the top of the district leaderboard. And Prince Banks pulls it down himself and runs, and he's out around the left edge.
And smartly
and
just
he just goes down and stays in bounds, so the clock keeps running.
And surely Fairfield's don't want this clock to stop anymore, and the Blackcats do. They want to get out of here after this.
And with that run, they'll snap the ball for the punt with under a minute left. And Banks will drop back to punt. Just assuming everything goes right, Fairfield will probably field this punt with somewhere around 30 to 35 seconds. Well, actually, it'll probably be around 40 to 45 seconds.
Nice deep punt.
End over end. And Fairfield,
number 3 catches it for Fairfield, and he's just swarmed.
And he's taken down at the Fairfield 45 with 46 seconds left on the clock. So right now, Mahea's going to send out, looks like, some of their backup defensive unit just to get out of this game. You want to sit those starters to keep, you don't want to run the risk of anybody else getting injured this late in the game, letting some of those guys that work hard all week in practice that don't get as much game time get out there for a few snaps and get ready to bring it on in and pick up your second victory of the district season.
Snap back to Abrams, and it's just a straight handoff up the middle.
Right, and he's brought down by number 34.
And that'll be a timeout it'll be time stop while they mark the play. It'll say a gain of 9. Fairfield's in there, hurry up.
And he's brought down again by Brian Busby and Jacob Allen on that stop.
I guess Fairfield calls a timeout here.
Yeah, looks like they're just
going to let the clock
run out.
Well, that's going to complete the game here from Eagle Field. It's going to be the Blackcats over the number 9 Fairfield Eagles, 37-10. Mexia come in tonight and did what they wanted to on offense and defense, and they moved to 2-0 in district. And next week we will be back here at Blackcat Field playing the Robinson Rockets, I believe.
It'll be Connolly Cadets. But Mexia will go to 2-0 in district. Fairfield will fall to 2-1 in district. Jeremy, it was a good game from the very first kickoff. And you saw both teams come out with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, and it kept going that way until about the end of the first quarter. Mexia started driving, and then they threw that interception, and it looked like Fairfield was going to pick up momentum, and Mexia turned around and they marched down the field and tied the game with a touchdown of their own. And then from that point on, Mexia just kind of dominated the rest of the game. The defense didn't allow many yards and didn't allow any scores from their offense. And then Mexia's offense was able to just move the ball up and down the field. And so as we get our stats in here,
Fairfield,
we'll bring you more stats as we get them in.
And we are playing Conley next week at Blackcat Field, and we have Robinson the week after that. But the Blackcat defense was just unbelievable tonight as Mexia sings the fighting song. I had a statistician come up to me and tell me that the quarterback ran the ball 13 times tonight for 15 yards. And 8 of those rushes were negative rushes. So that's just telling you that the defense was swarming tonight, and they wanted this.
Right. And like we talked about at the onset, with the Fairfield quarterback being such a dynamic player as he's been all season, you knew the focus for Mexia was going to be on him. And they executed very well in being able to contain him and limit what he could do. Because I don't think you'll be able to look at any game stat line for him all season and see him being held to that few of yards or anywhere near that few of yards, and Mejia's defense really stepped up to the task and did a great job of that tonight.
Well, as we finish this up, the Blackcats singing the fight song, I want to say a shout out to our sponsors one more time: Greer Media Time, Greer Detail, Napa, Joe Fridays, Woodman Life, Jeremy Sunday, and we have the Boy Scouts troop fitness start coming on as a sponsor for us. But thank y'all for the call. Wallace, thank you for helping us and coming on with us once again this week. As we keep continuing, Wallace and I are getting better and better together to bring the games to you. But it's just exciting to have Black Cat football back on the air.
Right, and it's always exciting to be over here to watch the games, to broadcast and bring them live to those people who aren't able to make it, especially on the road to some of these games and aren't able to get here to see the Black Cats. They're able to hear us broadcast and soon be able to catch it up, not live, but afterwards be able to catch the video feed of some of the games that we've had so far. And it's exciting time, like we always say, it's a great day to be a Black Cat. And the Black Cats came out, played their game, and they executed, and we came out victorious.
All right, as we close it here tonight, thank you for listening, and we'll be right back here from Black Cat Field next week against the Conley Cadets. Wallace High, Jeremy Sunday, and Freddie Greer.
Mexia Sports Network. Tonight's game is brought to you by Greer Time Media, Posey Napa Auto Part, Greer and Greer Mobile Detail, Mookie's Mesquite Patch Barbecue, Woodman Life Insurance, and Joe Fridays.